Well, good evening, my family. How are you doing today? This is Shirley Husar. You are watching Shirley's World. Today, we're going to cover various of topics. We're going to do some flashbacks, and we're going to try a new format. I'm trying to create a format that makes it so that we can cut to the chase and address issues that are current and relevant, as well as issues that may be kind of hot topic, and things that deal with the people who are affecting our lives or how we view lives. My name is Shirley Husar. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and please share this video. If you have some friends and families that you would love to have conversation about what is currently going on, we are the CEO of Urban Game Changers. Urban Game Changers is where we go in the urban communities and we hold elected officials accountable. We're a man on the street. We get out there and we talk to the people. We have voices of the people, and people listen to what we have to say. And we would want you to have a voice as well. Many times we get out there and we find out that people don't have a voice. And we need to have our voices heard from the ground up. Many times government likes to trickle down information and tell us how to think. It is not how you think, it's how the information has been spread out and how we have to make sure that we have to be proactive versus reactive. So in this video, I'm going to be a little bit more reactive. I am proactive. I'm also going to do a little bit of flashback to the past. So let's start with the topic. So as you know, we're dealing with the Biden administration, and there is a lot of money. And those who remember my previous videos, I told you when it was a wrap and Trump was just probably going to concede and give up the presidency, even though I believe the election was stolen. I also believe that President Trump has another agenda. But in lieu of that, we do have the President Biden, who is now in office. He has set a format of a new infrastructural plan that we have to look at. That infrastructural plan, I thought, was well explained through a guy named Meet Kevin. So we're going to watch Meet Kevin, and I'm going to stop in between, and we're going to have a discussion about the Biden administration's infrastructural plan. Now, I've talked to you before about forbearance. If you don't know about forbearance, please watch my previous video where I talk about the fact that people who are in a home or in a situation, even in their loans with student loans, you will find that the government is holding back. They're not letting them foreclose. They're not letting them pressure you to come up with all that back money as of now. I'm still looking for some type of forbearance, forgiveness, possibly under a new COVID plan that would be beneficial to those of us who, and not me, but I did not do this. I'm still making my payments, but many people who did not make their payments, let's say you have a home or rent and you haven't paid for the last 15 months of $1,000, you're going to have to come up with that $15,000, boo-boo. And if you don't come up with that $15,000, you have a possibility to be evicted or to have your property compensated, and you will be foreclosed on. But as of now, the Biden administration is saying, hold on, people, those who are the banks and those who carry the note, you're not allowed to foreclose on these people. They are still housebound due to COVID-19. So in saying that, I question if the government has told the American people not to make payments. Is the government willing to offset the cost of their decision making and having grown children act as grown adults act as children? Now, I say that because there were some people who could have made their payments for the last 15 months, but because the banks even went to the people and said, don't make any payments. It's okay, just wait till later. Many people are not structured and they're not organized to make a conscious decision of saying, you know what, I'm going to make my payments, or I'm going to put that money in savings and maybe see if I can get some interest bearing off of it. Even though God knows the interest bearing savings account are old school days when you're looking at 0.5. What the hell am I supposed to do with that? So some people took that money, they might reinvest it, or they just bought stuff. And we've had stuff discussions, and I told you stuff will leave you homeless. And you don't want to continue to buy stuff you just really don't need when there's priorities of food, water, and shelter, which I've shared in the past with you. But moving forward, today we're going to talk about the infrastructure of other money allotted through this administration. Now listen, as many of you know who have followed me through the duration of these years, I am a conservative Republican. And I'm Black first. What does Black first mean? That I support my Black community and Black urban communities and things going on. I believe African American people have been leveraged against through EB-5 visas, through loans and specialized loans and executive orders for other cultures of people. And yet the African American descendant of Negro slaves have still been suppressed because monies are not allotted to them. This is my belief, and this is what I share with you. So if you've never followed me before, when you hear certain terms or things that I say, that is my opinion. Again, it gives me a right to have freedom of speech, and I'm going to share it with you. But if we talk about the Biden administration, I believe this administration is more of a socialist administration. A socialist administration, which it derives in having the federal government basically become your mother and father and the God of your life. They do not support capitalism, where there was an administration prior to this that believed in free thinking, that believed in America first. Now we're in an administration that wants you to realize, don't worry, we'll pay your bills, we'll give you loans, we'll give you grants. It's just taking the baby in the bathwater, throwing it out of previous deals. And the current administration is taking all this money and throwing it in the streets. The question is, family, despite if you're Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal, or whatever you are, the question is, family, are you smart enough, listen to what I'm saying, to take advantage of what is going on? Now, you may say, I don't need any of that, but keep in mind, we are moving into a very interesting economy. There are many special people out there saying that we are moving into a high inflation, which I agree with them. I believe we're going into outside of the forbearance market, we're going into short sales. We're going to see foreclosures. We're going to see loan mods. We're going to see all these different things in real estate that come about. And when I said in my topic, as you can see, we're getting ready to change the format of my videos, where I will be sharing more financial aspects from a realtor's point of view. I am a licensed realtor out of California. I have been licensed since 1996. I also graduated from USC Financial Real Estate Development, where we talk about infill development. That means if there's a land and there's something that needs to be built, I can build it. I do with mixed use. I deal with units. And so I deal with a lot of relocation. I specialize in helping people relocate from one state to another. If it's from California to Texas, if it's from Mississippi to Montana. If you need to have someone that intervenes and sets you up, you can contact me, and that is what I do. But we want to move forward in understanding, how do we get money? How many of you guys are out there right now and you're questioning the monies that are allotted through this administration? Instead of being angry for the next 4 years, you're going to have to deal with this guy, right? Instead of being angry, you need to look at it from a perspective of a business person. And how will that format work for me? How can I get ahead? How do I leverage this administration and get over the hurts and loss that you didn't get the guy you wanted before, and make this administration work for you? Because you do live in the United States of America. You are an American citizen, and you deserve to utilize the rights and the tools that are out there. Shout out to Super Patreon, who says, hey, nice. Thank you so much. Hi, good to hear from you. Same to you, Miss Walker. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, now I can hear the sound through the countdown. That is correct. At the beginning, there is no sound. I'm going to start my videos a little bit like that for the first 2 minutes. And then after that, there will be a countdown, and then I come on. We'll try this new format and see, Lisa, how it works out. Oh my God, Mr. Salt, we all want good vibes, because if we get those good vibes, we are on point. And people think capitalism is evil, and actually it isn't. And I totally agree with you, but this is the challenge. When you're dealing with a socialist regime that we live under right now, they want you to believe that you don't need to be a capitalist, a free thinker, an individual that wants money, an individual that wants to earn their self-worth so that they feel that their contribution to whatever they went towards and whatever they did is beneficial to those they blessed as well as themselves. So if you're not going to start thinking like that, then you're going to start being a person who decides that the government's going to pay and take care of everything. And you are subject to a Caesar. So you've shifted your energy. Remember, I talk about energy distribution. Many of us are not paying attention to what our energy distribution. And government is psychologically right now working on people who are true capitalists, are people who are individual, are self-empowered, or own their own business. Government is working on you. They're wearing on you because they're telling you all that ideology thinking and things that you did in the past, you don't need to do anymore. We will pay your bills. We will give you free money. My question to you, for how long? I'll wait. How long will the federal government continue to give the illusion that they can continue to do what they say, kick the can down the road? Because as we continue to get this money, and listen, I say take it, get it, make it work for you, but do not be unconscious. Remember, I talked about that in my previous video. Many of us are not conscious. We sit back and we become complacent. We procrastinate. And in our procrastination, we get the results that are not beneficial. So what do I do with all that energy? How do I move through all those challenges? Well, first of all, you need to realize that there is money through this administration and that there's underground wealth going on in this country. So let's talk about the Biden administration infrastructure of wealth. And let me show you how other people from other countries are making underground money as well. And that's a concern, I think, for all of us, because as we continue to watch and pay attention to what is happening out here on the streets and in our country, we still have a lot to learn. And so I want you to meet this guy, meet Kevin, and let's watch his viewpoint on this subject matter.
Here's a summary of what Joe Biden announced today and his administration announced before he spoke.
Sorry about that.
Today. So first, we found out information about transportation, that we're expecting $620 billion to be part of this large $2.2 trillion package for infrastructure. And this is going to be part one, followed by probably somewhere around $1.7 trillion infrastructure plan, more for human infrastructure, more for child tax credits, elderly care credits, and so on and so forth. In the package that we talked about or heard announced today, we heard that $620 billion will go towards transportation, which will include $115 billion for bridges, highways, roads, and $20 billion for road safety. This will address about 20,000 miles of roads. We expect that 10 bridges that are the most economically significant will be replaced, and that 10,000 bridges will be repaired. We'll also see $85 billion going to public transportation, new rail cars, and transportation to connect the inside of cities with the rest of the city, and also outside the city. So Biden talked about having new transportation systems to basically bring people from outside a city into a city. $80 billion for Amtrak, $125 billion for airports, $17 billion for ports. I believe this is waterways, inland ways, and ferries. Anyway, $20 billion for disadvantaged communities, which prioritizes transportation. $174 billion will go to EVs in the form of tax incentives, tax rebates, and encouraging Americans to buy American-made cars. We did not hear anything from Biden today about cash for clunkers. This is all we got today. We also heard about 500,000 electric charging stations by 2030. This was a campaign pitch as well. Electrifying buses and federal vehicles, also a campaign pitch. Transitioning to electric and hydrogen. This was a big deal.
Okay, now you guys know that they are focusing on trying to have us all get into this electric movement. So this is what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with the electric movement in the country of America. And let me pause him real quick. And so that's where you see them talk about the charging stations and money towards airport. This is $1 billion, 25 billion for this, 25 billion for that. I thought we were in a crisis of financial problems. My notion is they looked at some of the Trump notes and they were constantly blocking Trump from trying to make America great again in many aspects. And I think they held the cards that they liked. They put them in their pockets. And you had Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi and all these people who are anti-Trump who basically said, now that he's gone, I kind of like those ideas he had. Let's put them on the table. That's just my notion out there. But we are under this administration that's given a lot of money away, a lot of money. So I think that, again, you will probably want to share this video. Make sure you like and subscribe right now. Make your comments. I will be reading them a little bit after we finish hearing Kevin. But think about it. These are billions of dollars of upgrade of infrastructures, of labs and university, federal agencies, transportations of cars, billions of dollars. It says disadvantaged communities, $20 billion priority transportation. Somewhere in there, you might find your job or what you do to be compatible to this. You need to find out how you could be part of this money. That's where you have to do your homework as I share this information with you.
This is just something that has not been talked about much, but a hydrogen pitch is something that a lot of folks are going to be very excited about, especially at companies like Fuel Cell and Plug Power, both up about 2.5% to 3% in the after hours, with Workhorse up 4% and QuantumScape up 9%. Further, we have research and development, $180 billion going to upgrade research infrastructure at labs and universities and federal agencies. Some will go to climate science research. Some will address gender and racial inequalities.
Okay, so they're giving oh my God, $180 billion for upgrade research for infrastructure of labs, university, and federal agencies. Now, we already have problems with these universities because some of the way that they're teaching our children today, our young people today, it's not feasible because you're fighting to get these degrees and you pay all these loans, and then in the end you can't get into the workforce. And I've talked about that in previous videos where I believe trades should be our priority and we should move more into the trade industry to make sure that whatever happens, degree or not degree, that person could be able to work. And so some of those things you have to be careful with because heavily in the Black community, many of our people have a lot of loans due to loans that they got when they went to college that they didn't finish getting their degree, or if they got a degree, they weren't able to utilize that degree. In the meantime, the federal government is pumping more money to track you into this traction. Listen to what he said. He also said it has to address gender and racial equality in science, math, and technology. So now we're putting money of $180 billion into gender equality and race. We have now pivoted from America First to talk about, again, the dark side of the transgenders and those who have sexual preference. We're emphasizing sex in America and racism in America because we're going to make racial equality. Well, how do you make racial equality? Black people don't want racial equality. What we want is leverage and we want money opportunities. We need executive orders. We need policies that protect us and empower us. So when it comes to descendants of slaves, I'm telling you, from a Black perspective, that is what should be put on the table. It didn't happen from the previous administration, and it's not happening from this administration. So the only thing that's going to bring change about for African American descendants of slaves is that we are conscious that this administration is not going to do anything for you but smoke and mirrors and do this packaging of this inclusiveness where they take Black people's pain and they pivot it to promote the sexual gender revolution that continues to happen with this administration of Biden and Kamala wannabe Black Harris. Let's keep listening.
in science, math, and tech. We've got $300 billion going to manufacturing, $50 billion of that going to semiconductor manufacturing and research, $50 billion to the National Science Foundation, $50 billion for a new office within the Department of Commerce to monitor domestic industrial capacity. So probably a way of saying, hey, we want to monitor our supply chains better so that way we don't have supply shortages like this chip crisis we're experiencing now. Ford announced today that they're partially shutting down some assembly lines due to the chip shortage. We've also heard that NIO has partially shut down or potentially completely shut down its factory for a week in China due to these chip shortages. Big expansion in broadband. We heard the introductory speaker and Biden both talk about how nobody and no child should have to leave to get better access to internet. Workforce, $100 billion for workforce development, including apprenticeships, and for those who have lost their jobs, so incentive programs and development programs for those who have lost their jobs throughout the pandemic. The goal is to create hundreds of thousands of jobs. Improving the electric grid by spending $100 billion to make it more resilient, which will include a 10-year extension and phase down of an expanded refundable investment tax credit and production tax credit for renewable energy generation and storage. So we'll obviously imagine here in the future, we'll get some more detail on this. Higher labor standards, 100% carbon pollution free by 2035 is the goal. $16 billion going towards abandoned mines and gas wells. Carbon capture, 10 carbon capture facilities would be established, as well as expanding carbon capture credits and making Section 45Q refundable and easier to claim for.
Whoa. Interesting, right? $16 billion on mines and gas wells. When do we spend that $16 billion on mines? Not the minds of the people. They're talking about mines you dig into. Okay, now I'm just kind of flabbergasted how we have moved from an administration that encouraged an opportunity for growth for businesses for middle America to save middle America. And right now, during the COVID-19 crises, we are finding that, especially in California, the middleman is gone. He's a done deal. It's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Businesses are not coming back. Opportunities for them to help the lower guy on the bottom is not going to happen. So with that in mind, now we're going to pivot into solar and power and electric and gas. And well, I don't know the last time you looked, that's one aspect of money that should be given. But the other aspect is we're trying to restore and recuperate what we just came out of. But that's not priority. The electric grid and the carbon dioxide patterns and clean water has circumvented the average everyday needs of food and water and shelter. Shelter and food are not priority. Now, grant you water, clean water's on here, and clean water should have been addressed way back under the Obama administration when we talked about those people in the states with the dirty water. This should have been addressed at that time, but that wasn't addressed as much either under the Trump administration. So let's see what the Biden administration does with that when he starts talking about water.
For those businesses that can claim that. $10 billion for a civilian climate corps that employs Americans. Clean water, this was a big thing that Biden spoke about. $45 billion to eliminate lead pipes nationwide. Keep in mind, this is not inside of homes. These are they're known as lead service lines, or LSLs. Lead service lines. That's where your water comes in from the city. And in older neighborhoods, these can sometimes be imbued with lead.
So we're talking about lead in older homes on the streets. So hopefully that will lead to more jobs for the American people, right? Because the more jobs that we have, the better it is that we can start keeping the family going. The problem with I'm finding with the infrastructure of city jobs, they pick a certain culture of people to dominate in those jobs, which are usually people who are immigrants and migrants and not the American people. And that's a whole nother show. But look and keep your eyes open for that one.
$1 billion in grants for low-cost loans to states and localities to improve their water systems, along with $10 billion to bolster rural well and waste systems. It says we will replace 100% of the nation's lead pipes and service lines so every American can drink clean water. Every $5,000 spent on lead pipes could reduce or save $22,000 in healthcare-related expenses. for individuals who are drinking from lead-based pipes. Broadband, $100 billion to bring high-speed internet to all Americans, more transparent pricing and subsidies for low-income households. Households, $213 billion to build and renovate more than 2 million affordable homes. Tax credits to build housing for low-income families, $40 billion for public housing. Upgrade. Biden briefly mentioned spending money on commercial real estate as well.
Okay, and now trust me, we will be paying attention to the housing. As I said, I'm going to be moving more into the format of talk about migration and relocation and the infrastructure of the inflation of this economy. This is the way I'm going to be going with this channel. If you like that, please, again, below, make your comments. I'm going to be reading them after we go through a couple of these videos. And after the show, if you're watching this after it's been taped, please make comments in the time frame of what you have questions on. I think it's very important that like I said, my foundation is food, water, and shelter, God, family, and country. That is where you should be focused. You should not let the news distract you and pull you so much away that you're not conscious of your own demise. Housing, $213 billion to build and remove more than 2 affordable homes. So she wants to create more affordable homes because we have a fluctuation of so many people into this country, and yet this administration and its leadership from the state level is irresponsible to the people who are already here. Obviously, because we look at the homeless factor and the mole people under the ground. The mole people is another video I'm going to do with details of explaining who the mole people are and how that's important to know because it affects our daily lives. Of course, there's going to be tax credit for low-income families and $40 billion for public housing. How this money will be distributed, we do not know. I'm still looking for that. I don't know if it's going to be in grants. I don't know if it's going to be in loans. We will find out these things. Again, all these things that are being put out there, hopefully they will create jobs. This is a way that, again, you have to be conscious. Is this good? Yes, and bad in some ways. Because, again, I believe in capitalism and I believe in individualism. And I think what has happened is we all are subject to the Caesar because of the COVID crisis. It has pushed us in this tunnel that even if you don't want to walk in this tunnel and you're crowded with all these people around you and you're ending up in this format, you have no choice but to take something from this because you've got to feed your family and you have to stay conscious in regards to what's going on around the country and the world.
School and children, $100 billion to improve public school buildings, $50 billion through direct grants, $50 billion through bonds, $12 billion to community colleges, $25 billion to upgrade childcare facilities and provide incentives for employers to provide childcare.
$50 billion in direct bonds, and that falls under the school childcare. So that's going to be interesting. Like, where is that money and what school? Is that private schools? Is that religious schools? If it's and childcare, what type of childcare are we talking about? What type of provisions of children are we talking about? This is going to be very interesting because, as you know, in the past, the Democrats don't support vouchers. They don't believe in the voucher system. They've been very anti-vouchers. I've done videos a long time ago, probably like 5 or 6 years ago, and I talked about the voucher system of how Democrats didn't want that, especially even in California. They kept voting it down. So now, because of technology and people saying, hey, I can keep my kid home, I've created these new patterns since I've been locked down for a year and a half. How can I stay home and do this? Let's find out through these new school systems online, will they be able to utilize this money and keep this money? Because I find it interesting in schools. The school board, I think, is some type of a racket, and the school districts are rackets because they require so many students to be in those seats so that they can get paid, and they really don't care about your child's education. So to have all this money thrown towards education when your child's not really being educated, they're just being informed and indoctrinated into this ideology of liberal and government dependency and hatred of whom and whoever. You as an individual and as a parent and as a surrogate and as a mentor to whomever you are talking to, you have to take that child and you have to keep that child conscious. and have conversations that are relevant and relatable, because as you're thinking from your household and them being around you, they think one way, they are being indoctrinated another way through the school system. And apparently the Biden administration is going to be funding and pushing their agenda, as you already know.
Elder care, $400 billion for housing for the elderly and people with disabilities, $18 billion to modernize the VA, corporate tax hikes, a minimum 21% international tax on corporations for products produced overseas. That's up from 13%. It's a good raise. And up from 21%, bump the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%, as well as institute a mandatory minimum 15% corporate tax on profits. So this eliminates the opportunity for, let's say, Amazon to pay $0 in tax, even though Amazon is, their argument is, hey, we're reinvesting this money. Biden is saying every corporation should pay a minimum of at least 15%. Eliminate oil, gas, and other tax breaks. Tax preferences for oil and gas industry. All of these preferences and tax breaks will be eliminated for oil and gas industries. IRS audits, more of a focus for audits for corporations, and then additional details about individual tax rates and audits to be coming within the next few weeks. Biden does say that Biden also complains, by the way, that 83% of the money that went to, or that came from the child or the Trump tax cuts go to the top 1%. However, this is disputed. Frequently, this is referred to as a projection based on a think tank estimate, or a think tank's estimates, that if the Trump tax cuts remained in effect until 2027, then 83% of the benefits would go to the top 1%. Currently, we're more like 21%. Biden mentioned that his goal is to reward work, not wealth, and really wants to...
Right now,
he said work, not wealth. So now, interesting enough, the work that you do, you could be the one generating it. But he doesn't want that to be your work. They want you to work with the federal government, or for, in most cases, with the federal government. Either way you want to do it, we're moving forward.
His vision, he did say he spoke for 2 hours with Xi Jinping from China upon his election, that his vision for this plan is 15 years out, and that this plan spends $2 trillion over 8 years. And he says that failing to make these investments puts our children at a disadvantage and adds to our debt. He says our infrastructure is crumbling. By the way, Gigafactory Tesla, just as a side note, is expected now to hire 10,000 individuals per Elon Musk instead of the $5,000 originally estimated. Biden also spoke with McConnell and told McConnell that nobody making under $400,000 will see their federal taxes go up. Notice federal taxes, which does imply that there could be other taxes that could go up as well. He says that historically infrastructure plans have been bipartisan, and that right now China is eating our lunch. And whether or not it ends up being bipartisan, he wants to see this get done. Keep in mind that right now this is planned to pass by August and September. So we've got a ways to go on this. Biden's claim is that this will create 5 million jobs. And budget reconciliation is an option, though we've got to verify that the Senate parliamentarian is on board with this. So this kind of gives you an overview of the Biden infrastructure Part 1 plan that was announced today. The two parts now have names. The first part, pull it up here, is, well, of course, get 2 free stocks with Webull via the link down below. Go to metkevin.com/Webull and get 2 free stocks worth up to $1,850. Sorry, that's not the name. The name is American Jobs Plan. That's kind of what we outlined here. That's part 1. And then in a few weeks, we'll hear about the American Family Plan. Good. So
American Jobs Plan and American's Family Plan. Well, okay. Let's see. He's got his own Make America Great Again. This is what Biden is saying that he has. Let's see what the family is saying there. Hit the like button. Thank you, Doug, for coming in and moderating. You are an amazing person. Haven't seen you for a while, my brother. We want to be intuitive, intelligent, and we want to talk about what's going on, especially you mentioned artificial intelligence. That is also growing in operation and technology and the aspects of jobs. And what's going on. I think that's the important of us having conversations and watching shows. Shout out to me, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin, for always being informative. This man never sleeps. He does like 5 videos a day. So make sure that you go and watch his show. Meet Kevin is quite amazing. Thank you so much. And Thank you so much. I'm happy to see you guys too. I really want to make sure that as I continue to share information that you stay conscious of awareness of what is happening. So they have this new thing again called the American Plan through Biden. So again, now he is writing on the word, what America, and making it great again. But he doesn't want to say we want to make it great again. He's just going to implement new laws and new ideologies of infrastructure and throwing all this money out there. Now, we watched the previous video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Please share this video if you're on Facebook or YouTube. And I'm on YouTube right now, and I'm on Facebook. And so if you can share this video on your different platforms or take it home and share it with your friends and have a discussion of looking back at what I just shared with you, how can you take advantage of that? In what aspect? Are you in school? Are you in construction? Are you an electrician? Are you somewhere having your own business? How do you make those rules and regulations work for you? Well, stay tuned, because as I find out more information of these billions of grants that are supposed to be there and there's billions of dollars that are supposed to be allocated to the people, I want to make sure that we get that money, because what you'll find out that only special interest groups will capitalize off of it. Only certain nonprofits will be able to obtain it, and the rest of us will be sitting on the sidelines, not being a beneficiary of these monies that are going to be allotted through this administration. You will be liable, because you're going to have to be the one to pay the bill, because this is a bill that's going to be upon the American people. And so, yeah, that's something that we should do. It's also important that we understand that we want to be conscious of listening to our own people who have the same ideology, same viewpoint, and same actions, same belief, because that way we're not as frustrated. As we listen to the news, what happens is the news continues to inject worry, fear, pain, and no hope. Or did you hear this is what's going on? And then when you contact XYZ, I have people, I'm in Los Angeles, and then when I go to Texas, and when I'm in Texas, the people say, well, you know, I heard in Texas that it's just crazy, and there's tons of illegals, and they're popping in the Dallas, and I said, whoa. Where are you hearing this from? I'm hearing it from certain newses and stuff. Well, you know what? People on the ground are different actions than what is being driven. So watch the news that are driven into your head and passe that, and try to follow more news like me and some of the other people I'm about to share and other women, to hear a different ideology and viewpoint of where this market is going. Again, I've also said, watch Ken McElroy when it comes to the financial market. Ken McElroy is amazing. He's been talking about housing. He's been talking about multi-units. If you're into trying to purchasing property, where to buy. He's talked about migration and movement and integration of people and how they're moving and why are they moving. He's talked about the Dow. He's talked about they're talking about digital currency. For my digital currency guy, I go to Peter Schiff. Look up Peter Schiff. He is a financial economist, and I love him and his wife. They're good people. And he talks about the Bitcoin, he talks about gold. These are things that may be out of your perspective that you say, I normally don't pay attention to this. Look, you're at home. What else can you do? You don't need to be watching Netflix and trying to binge on every show that you missed, that everybody's talking about that you're not connected to. Kind of pace your binging and pay more attention to podcasts, pay more attention to financial shows. These are things that I think that would be more beneficial and more enlightening in your life, much more enlightening. But as we talk about the financial market and we talk about immigration, which is playing a big part in this administration, many of you around the country have no clue how bad California has become and how bad it's going to be because we have shut down. So right now, we're going to do a flashback video so that you can see and hear what is going back. Let's talk about the flashbacks. I'm telling you, it is amazing when we think about the flashbacks of the fire that has taken place. That's my little fire intro flashback. Hope y'all like that one. You know what I find very interesting is that when we talk about immigration and migration, we talk about the money and the monies that are not coming to us. They are going to somebody else, and how they're not having to comply to law in the same manner that we are. And you know, that has always been my pet peeve. So I thought I'd flash back so that you guys can see in the city of Los Angeles, downtown LA, what it was back in June 2019, how people were able to operate and how they're coming back. And this is how California is. And if California is like this, so the rest of the country will be. Let's spend a little time on this video, not much. So we're back downtown LA, and I've got Tony with me. Tony, say hi.
Hey, so that's a little backstory behind that religious group right there.
Okay, I'm listening.
All right, so that's also a threat.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Some of those girls be prostitutes.
Really?
Yeah. They take them right over into that the Red Motel right here.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How you know? How you know?
I know a lot of information. The Olympia Motel right here.
I'm listening.
That religious group is, they take some of the younger girls over there to sell them. They have the job over there waiting for them.
So you've seen that, because you know Tony's a security guard, and you see a lot of stuff that I don't know about. So I'm glad you with me, huh? Protect me from all this. So is this stuff legal? I mean, they're selling stuff on the streets.
Well, no, to have the table, you would have to have a license.
Okay.
The ones that don't have the table.
Okay, so I'm talking about even if you got a license with the table, the stuff that's on it.
Yeah, if you have the table, you have to have that license.
I know that, but the stuff that's on the table.
Oh yeah, everybody got the table is legit.
All right. But what about the people on the street with the food?
No, they're not.
Okay. Now let's talk about the Social Security card. Apparently, you can get a Social Security card. How do I get a Social Security card? Y'all need to be sharing this on your Facebook page. We are downtown LA, and I wanted to show. Okay, so go ahead, tell me again, Tony. What were you saying?
Get that on camera.
What?
Yeah, I do be down here a lot.
Okay, well,
they do have the inside connections.
Yeah, I understand.
18th Street and next to my building.
Yeah. Hey you guys, how you doing? Hey Crystal, what you doing, girl? No, I'm just chilling downtown LA. Just chilling down here, checking out the scene, people cooking. You know, I'm in the zone. God bless y'all. Pray for us down here. How you doing, bro? What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we in the zone, that's okay. It's all good. Very crowded area. Well, let me get over here. And all this stuff, they allow them to do it, no reservations, right on the street. This is coming to your town, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, mostly on the West Coast. This is the life that we live in. I'm trying to get by. But I definitely want y'all to see all this. See the people and all the stuff that's being sold. Yeah. Eric Garcetti and Maxine Waters, they don't have any problem with this. This is the situation we're in right now. I got somebody earlier. Thank you so much. So this lady here, she's
like right in here is where they do the
yeah, okay.
Like,
Yeah. So this is where transactions take place. Where you can do a Social Security card, and then it's a lot to take in, I'm sure. But this is legal. So these are the items that are okay to sell on the street. As you can see, there's the payphone right there. And this stuff all piled up against the wall. This is normal. This is the new normal in California, and this is what Nancy Pelosi, Gavin Newsom, Eric Garcetti, Maxine Waters okay with that. They're okay with this. They're okay with the trash and the looting. Yeah, this is the life that we're living in. And if you want this life, you too can have this life in LA. It's expanded. You got the CDs on this side. And then they got the fried foods. Ooh, that's a nice color shirt. That's a nice color shirt. Yeah, it's a nice color shirt. So, you know, they try on clothes and sell clothes. And, right on the same street, let me take you to the streets. You see, we're right on the main street across the street from, where we at? Okay, now, you guys probably said, surely we've seen some of those videos in the past. I wanted you to, I'm going to stop for a second. I'm going to keep playing a little bit more of it. I want you to kind of breathe with me right now. I want you to realize that the people on the street, not the yellow tables, are not licensed, and they're selling food, and they're exchanging money, and they're using items that would normally, the rest of us would have all kind of regulations that they don't have. They're bringing their culture and their lifestyle here, and they're not assimilating. There's only one culture of people that do this. And because of that, these are usually migrants, immigrants, and illegal immigrants of this diaspora. And I want to tell you, as an American people, we're going to have problems in this country because many of you abroad in other states don't realize that this is Kamala wannabe Harris state. This is Senator Kamala wannabe now vice president. They know about this. They've seen this, and they have more sympathy for this than your own American people. We're getting away from America, and we're infiltrating this country with this type of system where we don't respect the land and we don't respect law and order. We just do a hustle side gig. In the meantime, we're promoting socialism, and the dysfunctions of the structures of the constitutions, the state constitutions, and the state laws are totally being bended. Right now, during COVID-19, I can tell you there's a lot of underground bars and a lot of underground clubs, where normally if you have a club or a bar, you're supposed to have an ABC license. You don't need that now. They're having house parties with extra liquor, and then they do some of the things I think about, like the mafia days where you pay some of the cops off. That's the underground movement. And so my question to you, my family, is this the America that you want to happen? Is this the American you want in your own household? Because if it is, you're in trouble.
Wilson Alvarado.
Yeah, Wilson Alvarado, MacArthur Park. See if I can fast forward. I'm trying to get
Ain't
to
nobody
this.
show.
Okay, let's keep going here. Slow.
Look out!
Wow.
I am here.
Tony, the corn.
Let's get my name in the book that life.
That's a soup? Oh, she's got a soup.
Yeah, chocolate.
Oh, that's what it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we got this side over here. There is no water. There is no way to wash your hands. There is no way for sanitation. They don't have to worry about a letter grade. In California, we have letter grades of restaurants. You got to worry about these people having no letter grade. We don't know where they got this produce from. Some of the produce is produce that gets tossed from out of the store. They pick through the ones that still look substantial, and then they sell it for cash on the streets. Because I can tell you, we've all bought, and the quality does not taste the same. And usually the people that buy from them are their own people. So they don't like to spend money with America or Americans. They come here and utilize the infrastructure of America for the benefits of their people with their people, and there's a problem with that.
these people here are legit. All of these because they have to pay them rent.
Oh, wow. So this.
Back in the day, the check cashing place, they have a security guard to run them up. But they started paying them.
Oh.
They're no more running up.
So they let them stay here?
No, they rent that out.
Oh, so this is for rent? Even though it's owned by the state?
Yeah.
In a sidewalk? Oh, wow. You're educating me. Okay, let's go back. As you can see, it goes on and on and on. And then we have the Amish ladies. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm a Christian. Thank you. God bless you.
Yes.
Stay safe. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video here. I wanted you to be aware that this is coming back. This was a very heavy trend in California. They exchange a lot of cash. I'm going to show you a video in the future where you will see that this particular lady had a lot of cash in her hand. And they don't pay taxes. They don't pay taxes. They don't pay for the space. And a lot of that money goes back, and we talk about remittance, money going back to other countries. There's a large racket in money orders. There's a large racket in money wiring in the United States, in particular in California, because we have these outcourse areas of other countries that have come through the country come to the United States. Excuse me, and they are basically raiding and taking advantage of us. We don't get anything like that. You got to remember, we have to pay for the electric and the light and gas on these streets. And they just sit back and they get the benefits of it. And that's the problem. So if we're going to talk about the Biden administration and the infrastructure of wealth that's going to be distributed, and then on the other hand, we have a second rule of law for immigrants and migrants, how does that make America great again? It doesn't, because it's not about America being great again. It's about a socialist regime where you will be infused from the federal government to be taken care of. While they're not focusing on that, they're going to find ways to take advantage of that money. As you know, prior to Trump's leaving this administration, he told everybody, look, these people are going to get a lot of money. They're going to be allotted a lot of money. And what are you going to get? So under this Biden administration, there's going to be a lot of underhand deals where you'll be able to see and you will not be able to see the money that will be filtrating and going towards the people that I just showed you. So my question to you is, are you going to sit back and pander to any of this? And what can we do? Because again, I'm not a one-man show. I'm asking, I'm out there questioning some of the actions that we're enduring, and how do we fix that? Because if we don't have conversations, if we're not talking about that, I don't know how you can. Sister Blackfoot, how you doing? If black folks were selling, they would lock them up. You ain't lying, girl. They would lock up black people. Black people out there trying to sell incense and t-shirts. They won't let us do this, but they will let them do that. And we let them do that, because if we were smart as African Americans, we would protest and we would not be allowing them to circumvent us. Mr. Jerome, how you doing, Max? How you doing? Thank you so much. I always keep it 100. Yeah, Cali's gotten pretty bad, bro. Cali's gotten pretty bad. But again, you know the statement, if Cali goes, then the rest of the country goes. And so if we are going to be the American people, we're going to stay awoke. We're going to act accordingly. We're going to realize the money that is going to put us even more in debt. The deficit is, I think, is at 28 trillion or something like that. And what do you think it's going to be after this administration? Because he continues to just say, you know what, forget it. We're just going to go ahead and rack it up and just throw all kind of money out there. What I want to say to conservatives and those who are watching, under this administration, don't sleep at the wheel. Take advantage of the grants. Take advantage of the money. Don't sit back and say, no, I'm just going to wait for Trump, because you will not make it during the inflation that is about to occur in this country. There's going to be some hard times in this country. And if you are least prepared, like I told you before, the story of the three little pigs. The first pig was the straw pig. That was the pig that sit back and got the EBT cards, and he had Section 8 and he had WIC, and he was partying on Thursday and doing the underground bars. The wolf came. The federal government said, you won't get your cards. We don't have any more parties for you coming on. You're going to get your house taken. You're going to be homeless. He ran to his other brother with the house, the stick house. The stick house was the guy. He had a solid job. He was renting. He said, don't worry, come on over here. He wasn't saving nothing. He was just renting, and he had a roof over his head, and he was partying with the straw brother. And then all of a sudden, he gets a notice that the landlord he's been paying didn't pay the note. And so now he's been renting this house thinking, I'm paying on time. Then he finds out his job has been taken out because of COVID. So now both of them are stranded and distraught. So then they go to the third brother who they've been mocking the whole time because he's been taking the time. He's been saving. He's been watching Shirley's videos. He's been realizing that he needs to barter with a couple of friends. He's got some bricks. He's got some concrete. He's been building his own wealth. He don't have no high-end house that he was renting or in a straw house. He might be a little bit in the hood or he might be a little bit out in the country, and he owns his land. He owns his house. He's able to grow vegetables, and they call him a hillbilly. They got to go to that third pig. And he said, bruh, we out of luck. Can you let us in? And luckily enough, that older brother or that last pig was smart enough and he let them in. And when the wolf knocked on the door, he said, I pay my taxes. I own my land and I have the right to bear arms. And the wolf could do nothing. Now, many of you, let's extend the story and twist it a little bit. You ain't got no brother pig. You ain't got nobody with a brick house. You don't have nobody with a straw house. Your ass is SOL, straight out of luck. So what's going to happen to you? You're going to be homeless. You're going to be on somebody's couch, or you're going to be living in fear and worry and anxieties because you did not prepare yourself for this wolf moves that you see through the federal government. That's why I wanted to show you these videos so that you realize, even though they are giving you this external illusion of wealth and money that'll be given to the people, which it will, and which the grants should be. I'm assuming that it will be done. My question is, how do you utilize that? Because the specialized groups and the special interests people will get this money, but the conservatives, because they're so anti-Biden or anti-whatever, then they're thinking they're just going to wait. You cannot wait through this war. You cannot wait from this recovery of this pandemic. You have to act accordingly. You have to think out of the box. You have to move in a direction that will benefit you. If you're going to talk about, Gabriel talks about, hey, we're talking about the Chinese and the Haitians and the Jamaicans and people from the Bahamas. Yeah, they're spending and they're making their money and they're utilizing the government. We're talking about the people who are here from Belize, but we're also talking to people who are here from Mexico and people from Guadalajara and El Salvador and China and Korea and the India people. All of these countrymen people, how you need to structure yourself in your movement. Moving on, let's talk about hot topics. Yes, we're going to talk about hot topics because it affects our lives. And many times I look at YouTube and I go, wow, sure that you watch her channel because she keeps it real and 100. And I love her and I appreciate her. She covers topics where currently I'm just not going to go down that road. But let's go ahead and talk about Mr. Jaxn. Mr. Jaxn, not the other Jaxn, the one that seems to be nasty and speaks to himself in third person. Let's watch that video.
This played out because we surely told these people.
I mean, we told everybody. I kept saying for the longest, the wife, he's not in love with that woman and she is not in love with him. I mean, I guess when you've seen this act go on where they try to use God to glaze over the fact that she has dirt on her hands. She sat there the entire time watching this man manipulate women for years. She is not a victim. I mean, we told everybody. I mean, it was another woman the entire time. I said, he's gonna need someone that he can fall back on that can take care of him. Boop, let me get a doctor. There's the money right there. Their wife is completely useless.
How do you feel about the fact? How do you feel about the fact that since this new revelation has come out, we ain't heard from nobody? Now nobody got nothing to say?
Thank you. So they just gonna disappear? Not the Christians, not the holier than thou. They need to keep spreading this word because it's a whole
What's your
lot.
breastplate of righteousness?
Yeah, you don't stop. This is a mission that you guys need to be on. Can you imagine the many people that they can save if this was even true? Come on now, that script that they read off of, this is a whole complete lie.
They ran off of.
Yes, that was a script they was reading off of. They had Christian, and that other woman said so. I don't know who this is out here praying and raising his hand and all the pictures inside the church. She know him. She know that man. She know that he ain't no Christian.
Look, I bet y'all $20 her parents came and got her because the copy tab, remember I was saying to you, I believe that the Christian act is twofold.
Yeah.
When he hit her, the parents forced her to go home. That's what one of the mistresses said, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the term side chick because the side chicks know him better than this hoe.
Thank you.
Okay, so look, when I said the parents came and got her because something went on in that house, and the two of them decided they was going to convince the parents that he had given his life over to Christ, and the parents is probably older and ain't on the internet like that. So they went on ahead and the rules was for the parents, and then they realized that they could make some money at it while they was in it. That's what I think happened.
Yeah.
So the parents let her go home, and then that incentivized her. That's why she hopped on there like that. This girl's goals and missions didn't have nothing to do with his cheating. So she hopped on there, convinced not just us, but her parents. Baby, stop talking. Convinced her parents that he was a Christian too, and everybody bought it and ate it up. But when the third girl came out and said, he was over here last week, sitting in my parking lot for 2 hours waiting on me to come out so we could do it in the car, that's when the parents said, okay, and they came and got that heifer. And that's why you ain't seen it, and you ain't gonna see her no more. That's what I think happened. What you think, Shirley?
I have a different perspective of this whole transaction. I believe these are plans of distractions within the Black community. Because who is this nigga? Ain't nobody really know this man. This man's got Entertainment Canada that did a whole video on him. I'm just like, who is this man? This is called plants of distraction. This is a hoax to keep us distracted emotionally on stories that are not going to embody us, build us. Because only the Black community is talking about this, right? Only white people ain't talking about this man and this woman with this do-rag on her head. Girl got the do-rag on her head. What kind of man want a woman with do-rag on her head? She wanted to do this video and look like that. Oh,
and we know there's some credence to what you're saying, because we do know that there was some deal, some kind of way TD Jakes is involved in this.
Yep, $100,000 or more.
The church is under fire for several.
Somebody's getting paid. Someone's pulling us away from what's going on in the world and in America and with our own lives, talking about this bunch of bullshit. And let me tell you, this man is narcissistic, because when you watch the video where he speaks of himself in third person, and then he goes into a fourth person conversation. Look how Jaxn, if y'all want to know what we're talking about, Jaxn. He goes in himself saying, let's talk about this couple right here. Now, I hear what she's saying, but I can relate to this man. Nigga, that is you. That's you. How can you relate to somebody that's you talking to yourself in the video? I said, oh my God. This man is trending all on my filter, watching all everybody talk about him. I said, I ain't even focusing on this, but it's just amazing to me as the story continues to unfold. And you know, Teacher K is all on this. It's just buffoonery. So as we grow as a culture of people, again, this is the difference between a YouTube like Teacher K and Kiki Green and myself, how Kiki's gonna bring you the raw deal. She's gonna tell you how this sets a course for a lot of things to come that we'll find out that all these people underground paid at the end. So at the end, it's like, oh, this whole thing is a hoax. That's how
I definitely, what I think is that it started off as a hoax, he was supposed to fall and then be kind of reborn as a Christian. And then they were going to run off into the sunset with these books and all this other type of stuff was supposed to happen. But him being the ninja that he is, did not inform the real girlfriend of none of the rules and let her find out to call and threaten her and all of that.
That's one thought. Or the other thought is the girlfriend knew this was coming and this was all charted out. Look, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to come out and boom, boom, boom. I'm going to say this. Then you come in and some other girls may come in probably. And then my wife's going to come on. I just think as it kept evolving, he just kept promoting himself. Buy my book, watch my CDs, da, da, da. I mean, and now he's got all this traction to everybody saying, where is he? I want to see his past videos. I want to see his past works to see if I might want to follow him. In the meantime, we are distracted. We as Black people, this does not provide any in-depth of substance. And Kiki Green is about substance. I'm about substance. Instead, we are giving more energy to the non-substance issues that now this is part of the Black community. And how so? It doesn't help ADOS Black men. The alpha Black man is another one suppressed and a used brother. He's using Black women. But that ain't nothing new. There's always Negroes who do that.
It's nothing new. What's happening though, is that, especially dealing with a lot of these narcissistic men, they are able to create a persona for the public. Their mother pretends like she don't notice. The family unit doesn't pretend. Everybody pretends like this guy is perfect, and they add credibility to the man. So they meet a woman who says, hey, I'm in med school. I've got my own stuff. I don't have any kids. I'm looking for love, I'm looking for a relationship. Oh, well, I'm a relationship coach and I'm this and I'm this and I'm that. Who wouldn't even have that intro short story to use if it wasn't for the other people in his life that support it. And then turn around. Now you've got yourself into an entanglement with somebody who on paper looks eligible, but in reality is your worst nightmare.
So like I've said before, we have to watch our energy distribution. Shout out to Kiki Green on YouTube channel. Make sure you guys follow her if you want to see the rest of that video. I just wanted to throw in some ideas about that case. I don't really talk about gossip, but I thought to let you know when I am talking about gossip, I usually am on Kiki's page because Kiki is mending on Twitch. If you guys have been looking for T West, he is now on Twitch. He is not on YouTube. As you know, they took his channel down. Derek Jaxn, my brother, you got a lot of issues going on. I think the key thing for all of us is to be conscious that there are going to be people that are going to be distracting with conversations that are not relatable and making us wealthy. And then there's energy distribution that I continue to use that same word over and over because the distractions that are out there pulls us away from what is going on in the reality that we live in. Now, this is just one story, but there's many other stories that are out there that affect us as well. So my question to you, my family, is where is your focus? Now you may say, I don't care about that story. If it's not that story, it's other stories that are out there. And it's really up to you to be conscious and aware that it can affect your life and it can help and it can address one issue in your life, which is your money. Yes, your money. Your money is being affected because you're not spending time watching how everybody else is making money. Instead, your money is floating away while you're focusing on that crazy man. So in this video, I want to be able to help you think outside the box and think about entitlements that you should be equipped with to move forward. Moving on to the next hot topic, I want to talk about, we've talked about reparations in the past, but I want to give a shout out to my sister Angela, who's on YouTube. She's really trying to grow her channel, and I want to share a little bit of her channel. She talks about Ida B. Wells. She's talking about the Reparations series. She's going to go live tonight, and I just want to share a little bit of her video. If you could be patient with me, I would ask that you support her, go watch her video, and be engaging. She is a sister that is on fire. She's always out there. She's always sharing what's going on. She's been paying attention to the trial. This particular trial is really interesting because YouTube doesn't want many of us of our own diaspora to talk about this trial. You know what trial is going on. And because of that trial, some of us are marginalized on our voices of speaking for or against it or questioning it. But what I want you to realize is that this sister is on it. So let's go ahead and hear from Angela and her views on a couple of issues regarding reparations and the trial.
Coverage on this day's blog has ended. Okay, please click here for the okay, I don't want the coverage from there. I want to just jump down to the witness testimonies and stuff. Testimony for Tuesday ended with tension as Judge Peter Cahill delivered a warning to witness Genevieve Hansen, the off-duty firefighter who called 911 to report Chauvin. Quote, "You will not argue with the court. You will not argue with counsel," Cahill said, turning toward Hansen as she sat on the stand. Quote, "They have the right to ask questions. Your job is to answer them," close quote. And she says, "I was finishing my answer," Hansen said. Quote, "I will determine when your answer is done," Cahill retorted, his voice quickening. You see, these white inferiors don't like it when you call them out, don't like it when you challenge their authority. But this is how we got to George Floyd. Everybody's scared of the white inferiors who can kill us by government sanction, hiding behind the badge. It's the KKK with a badge. Anywho, I digress. Cahill then adjourned the court session and instructed Hansen to return at 9:30 Wednesday morning when her cross-examination will resume. The conversation came after a heated exchange between Hansen and defense attorney Eric Nelson, who was cross-examining her. Hansen will return to the stand Wednesday morning. Okay, so the firefighter calls 911 to report the police who detained Floyd. An off-duty firefighter who came upon the deadly police apprehension of George Floyd told jurors she called 911 to report the officers involved. Minneapolis firefighter Genevieve Hansen is the third witness to testify that they called police to report on other officers in the wake of murder suspect Derek Chauvin and his colleagues detaining Floyd. Quote, "I should have called 911 immediately, but I did not," Hansen told jurors. Quote, "Then things calmed down, and I realized that I wanted them, police supervisors, to know what was going on. I wanted to basically report it." Earlier in the trial, 911 Gina Scurry and bystander Donald Williams both testified they called the authorities to report what they saw as potential police misconduct. Witness, Chauvin looked so uncomfortable while putting meat into Floyd's neck. Murder suspect Derek Chauvin looked so comfortable while putting the majority of his weight on top of George Floyd's neck, a firefighter testified. This is me speaking. What I observed from the testimony in the video is he was getting his rocks off while taking George Floyd's life. It was if the crescendo of a resounding objection to his murdering George Floyd made him dig his knee in tighter to take the life of George Floyd with intent. It was the devil himself, the devil incarnate on the neck of George Floyd that day. And they're literally sitting up here trying to make it the eyewitnesses' fault that he took the life of George Floyd. They're trying to make it the fault of George Floyd's underlying conditions that he was totally living with, mind you. Totally alive when they accosted him in his car. Totally. And it's my made-up story that had he known he gave them a fake $20 bill, why wouldn't he have fled the scene? I don't know that he knew he gave a fake $20 bill. But they took great joy, as Biden shifts to Asian protections without giving us an executive order to deem the KKK a domestic terrorist group, to dismantle qualified immunity nationwide to hold these race soldiers accountable, to take away their pensions and use it to pay the civil suits instead of taxing us twice to pay their salaries and to pay their civil suits. You see, none of this is happening. None of this is happening for the protection of the very people who have anti-Black racism on them like a plague. I mean, You gotta wonder when you leave your house if you ever make it back home. I know we don't walk around in scary places like that, but if I lived in a place like Minnesota, and that, I mean, the very depressed Minnesota, where these depraved animals are policing, because they're not in the money neighborhoods killing and executing folks, or all of what I just shared Biden would have done day one. You hear me? So these folks are able to execute us behind that badge, and Biden decides to give Asia protection as Officer Tao harasses the people who are screaming and begging for the life of George Floyd. Back to the text. Genevieve Hansen and off-duty, you guys just saw her. Minneapolis fighter and trained EMT was strolling through the Minneapolis neighborhood near Cup Foods on May 25th when she came upon Floyd and the officers. I'm going to jump. Oh, it's not too long. Hansen, wearing her white Minneapolis fire department shirt, told jurors she was struck by how incredibly calm Chauvin, hands in his pockets, appeared to be while allegedly putting deadly force onto Floyd's neck. He seemed very comfortable with the majority of his weight balanced on top of Mr. Floyd's neck, Hansen testified. In my memory, he had his hands in his pocket. He looked so comfortable. I would be derogatory, but I won't go there. Young witness, this is when the young witness delivered a powerful testimony for the prosecution. 4 young female witnesses delivered emotional testimony that amplified already disturbing footage taken of the deadly encounter between murder suspect Derek Chauvin and George Floyd, a legal analyst said. The witnesses, now 18, 17, and 9, often struggled to control their emotions while describing what they saw outside Cup Foods on May 25th last year when Floyd died after being under then Officer Chauvin's knee for 9 minutes and 29 seconds to be exact. Now, I don't understand why they brought this 9-year-old in there to recount this. I'm sure everybody that was out there and probably the rest of the country needs a therapist couch. This stuff is very, very hard. This stuff is very, very hard. And they now bring in a 9-year-old to bear witness. God bless them all. The video is powerful enough, criminal defense attorney and NBC legal analyst Danny Sabella said. These witnesses are testifying about their reaction to it, which the jury can relate to. The witnesses also calmly pushed back on defense assertions that Chauvin and his police colleagues might have been threatened by the bystanders who witnessed Floyd's deadly apprehension. Like I said, they're blaming everything in the rain as to why Chauvin, all the way up until the EMT told him a second time to remove the knee before they took George Floyd's body and dumped him on a gurney like yesterday's trash. They didn't try to resuscitate him right there on the scene. It's okay to kill him in front of a crowd, but not to resuscitate him in front of a crowd. Yeah, the paramedics are just as guilty as far as I am concerned.
I want you to hear her perspective on this case because it's important. It's important because we have so many cases like this, right? As many of us, we say, oh my God, this is so draining. This is so sad. This is so horrible. But when will it end? And either way it goes, someone's going to be hurt. If this goes one way or if it goes the other way. The question is the aftermath of all of this. Now, I want to let you know, I believe that they're all preparing for war. I believe that the federal government and the city that this is being trialed in has already got money set aside for all of the calamity that's going to happen, all the raiding and the looting that's going to occur. They already have money set aside to deal with the state and them saying we need to do some kind of special federal funding because our city was raided and this case is way out of control and the looting and the burning. It's coming. It's coming. Now, I've had people tell me, look, this administration is going to handle it differently. People forget all the situations that happened under President Obama that happened and all the looting and the fires that took place. If we don't have a clear understanding that the police department has an understanding of their own rules and regulations, we are missing the point. Because if you read and learn more, because I'm learning a lot from Angela and the other people, my son has also been following this case. And apparently the police are able to do the procedures that were done in this case. And they were on their books and able to do them in that manner. Now, this man went to a whole nother level of how he basically killed this man. People saw him killing, people saw him suffering, and people begged the officer to please stop, and he didn't do it. This intervention of people trying to not circumvent law and circumvent people who are supposed to serve and protect us, the serve and protect us people are not servicing and protecting us. What do we do with that? How do we handle that? How do we fix that? Because we need to have a solution other than just something that comes out of results or ramifications of these actions. We need to have a solution, because this will not be the only one. This will not be the only one, obviously, because there's been other numerous of ones. So if you guys want to follow this trial and saw the outcome and kind of get more of a breakdown, I encourage you to go to Angela's channel. I'm going to be focusing more on wealth and opportunity. I'm going to be focusing on the infrastructure, the inflection. I'm going to be focusing on how we are in the forbearance market. I'll be focusing more on the financial and the stability aspects in this country. I don't mean to be to the point that I'm always in a proactive, a reactive mode. I'm more in the proactive. I want to see everyone who listens to my channel secure and wealthy. I want to see everyone who's listening to my channel to feel comfortable in where they're at. Wealthy does not mean that you have to have a 10,000 square foot house or 20,000 to 2,000. You might be happy with your 900 square foot mobile home, modular home. But guess what? You own it. It's free and clear. You don't have to impress anybody. You might be happy with the car that is 25 years old, but it runs. You have no car note. Don't let anybody pressure you more in the debt than you already are. That is kind of like the direction I'm going, but I need help. I need those who are listening to me right now who would like to be part of helping me making a decision if I want to do more videos or not. Tell me what your thoughts on these subjects that I just shared with you. Which way would you like me to go more in, and what would you like to hear more about? Because either way you go, you are one of those three little pigs. If you are one of those three little pigs, you need to be the one with the brick house. Because if you're that three little pig that's stuck in there and you in a straw house and you watching the trial and you angry at the government and you hate Trump and you hate Biden or whatever your hate is about, hateism is about, and you just sitting down every 1st and the 15th waiting for a check, and you support socialism and communism and Marxism, and not really understanding how this indoctrination will marginalize and limit you in life. This indoctrination will steal from you in life. And again, this indoctrination will also have you not watch your energy distribution. Our energy distribution is important because we are becoming fragile because how government is pulling everything away from us, saying, don't worry, I will take care of it. You know, in the back of your mind and in your spirit, you don't need to be dependent on somebody else taking care of you. You need to be dependent upon yourself. You don't need to have your energy pulled away on different points. Pace yourself. Even with today's stories, like the story I just shared with you, I pace myself. I don't always watch all that stuff, even with the immigration situation, but I'm not non-conscious. We must stay conscious through the chaos and the madness. That's my favorite song. I can't play music because YouTube would ding us. But I would say look up a Katy Perry song, Rise, because you as an individual need to rise and be conscious of it. 3D printing homes. Okay. I think if anything, we are 3D in our mind, thinking that someone's going to take care of us when we should be of the first degree. Basics. Food, water, and shelter. You need to do investment in money topics. Okay, I appreciate that. Leaving Black Gossip Problem videos alone. No more. Well, I wanted to let you know when I do talk on that, I go on Kiki's channel. I won't be promoting too much gossip. even though it drives traffic to the channels. What I find interesting is how YouTube loves when Black people talk about gossip, but if we talk about wealth and opportunity, then they start doing some questionable things to our channel. We are always being tracked and watched, and that's unfortunate, but that's the reality of where we're at. I'm the pig in the brick house. Okay, you the pig in the brick house, Nick. Nick says, I'm the pig in the brick house. But government has, okay, oh, well, you know what? They do have a sledgehammer. But don't worry, the pig in the brick house and the sledgehammer, which is the wolf, you may not be that brick house. You might be that kind of that wood house. Because see, the brick house is real solid. He might own his house free and clear. The brick house guy, he's a little bit different. He doesn't have to have all the amenities. He understands his finances. He knows what he needs to go with. He doesn't care what government does because he's up to par. He knows his number. He knows down to the pennies what's in his checking account today and tomorrow. That's the brick house guy. No offense, you might have a stable house, but you're not as stable as the secured brick house guy. The brick house guy is ready. He's got his guns. He's got food. He's got a storage unit that's got a lot of stuff. He's real quiet. He's underground. He knows the wood people. I've done my conversations on the wood people who are rising in this country. That's the brick house guy. You might be more of a straw house guy because the straw house guy, what he's dealing with, he may be renting. He may even own his house, but he feels the heat and the pressure of the government. The straw house guy, he knows what's going on and he still needs to make some corrections on the dial tone of his life and within his family, which is not bad. And he can fix that. And he's making some alterations to his home from being a straw house, a wood house to a brick house. Brick house represents solidarity. Brick house represents a consciousness of one's worth and where one stands in life. But if we're just a stick house going along with the flow saying, I'm good, not realizing that your money that you have could be a detriment because inflation is costing you more to eat out, to go do things, to buy from groceries from the store. That's inflation. And it's pulling you and draining you. And that might be that sledgehammer you're talking about. But if you're talking about people who are in the straw house, well, them the people on the government system. They're the ones that are going to constantly be saying, I want my EB-5 check. I want to know how we can get the stimulus money, keep it going, because I like the free money. They don't have a plan of action. They just kind of going with the flow. So the wolf is going to get them, and the wolf is going to get the guy in the wood house because he's not prepping to make it stronger to be a brick house in his life. So yeah. Don't feel alone. We just need to make those corrections. I got into Bitcoin at 4,000 and now it's at 69. Yes, I love that. I love that. Next year, 5 years. Wow. I'm excited for you. Well, congratulations. You made a conscious decision to do a good investment. But you remember, you got to know when to pull out. So I believe that intangibles need to be tangibles. And if you've got Bitcoins, which is an intangible asset, that asset needs to be transposed into a tangible. So you might buy a house. You might buy a house somewhere in the South. You might buy a house somewhere in the city. Houses are still affordable in the South. And still affordable somewhat in some parts of the city. I've seen houses in Mississippi and Texas and Louisiana. They have houses for $80,000, $40,000. Yes, those houses still exist. There are people who buy raw land for $10,000 and they put a modular on there for another 15 or 20. And they own it free and clear. I do not frown on those people because that is their brick house. If you find yourself in a high rise or somewhere in urban communities and you live in mixed use development and there's development on the bottom like restaurants and markets, and then all of a sudden the top you living on rents and you paying $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month rent, who are you trying to impress, boo-boo? Who are you trying to help? You're not helping yourself. You're not moving forward for yourself. You're just helping whoever that person who owns that building and not progressively moving forward. And we want to move forward. That is the key thing. California is a very hairy, scary town. And all I can tell you is like I tell everybody else, we must continue to move forward. We must continue to move forward. You're saying that these people have channels, okay? Go ahead and learn about Bitcoins from the channels that are being showed right now. Hustle Kung Fu channel. I've never watched it. And Erica Williams. Well, thank you for sharing, Shay. Shayla, I've not watched those channels, but I would encourage people to check them out and see if they work for themselves. And by the way, speaking of channel, please like and share this video. Me, you guys are watching. Get the like buttons up. Share this video and get the like buttons up. And like I said, those women that I showed previously, they talk about different topics that towards the financial and investment market and showing you people who relate in that aspect. It is important. Listen. It is important that we take time today, get a paper and some pen, and we write down things that work for our best interest. I would ask you to make a top 10 list of the good and the bad in your life. Write down 10 things that you can do better this month, the month of April, the first of the second quarter, the accomplishments that you accomplished during the first quarter, the failure of the first quarter, the people that drain you during the first quarter, the people you need to cut out during the first quarter, and the patterns that we've created in our life that need to be altered, like what we watch on TV, what we listen to on the radio, people that we conversate with that don't add value. We need to cut those people out because the people that don't add value, we do not need them in our life. People who may not socially, economically, or politically, or spiritually agree with us. We need to cut them out of our lives. So anyway, I've come to the close of this channel. I thank you so much for watching. Make sure you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. All I can tell you is that I will be doing more videos once in a while. But if you like some of the things that I share after this video, before you totally are gone and close it out, please leave a comment on the video after it's over and tell me what you thought of this video and things you would like to have discussions in the future. If there's a way that I can help you, I'm willing to share. There's a lot of talk about Bitcoins. I will bring Bitcoin specialists. Maybe we'll review some people who have Bitcoin ideology. No, there's not. They stop people watch. Yes, they do. Usually what I say, they don't always want to promote things like that. And so that's important. Shirley, have you seen my movie? No, brother, I have not seen your movie. If you are the real Willie Snob, which I doubt. So only thing I've been watching, I did watch the new Justice League Uncut, as you guys have followed me on Facebook and Instagram. And I thought that was brilliant. The only problem with that video is I gave it a 7 because there's no way that I'm going to sit back and spend 4 hours watching a movie again. I don't get it. My kids and other people are like, oh, I'll do it again. I'm like, it's 8 hours to work in a day and you want me to take 4 hours to watch a movie. Okay, this is the problem. This is the problem I'm talking about. We could be working on wealth and building and we're going to take time out of the day. If they start making more 4-hour movies, I'm like, boo-boo, I'm tapping out. I can't do it. So no, I'm not going to do that. So anyway, God bless you. Thank you so much. Make sure you leave your comment and follow and likes. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. Message me if you would like to talk about real estate and opportunity. Follow me on LinkedIn. And to God be the glory. Continue to pray. Continue to have clarity. To continue to have hope. And keep your head up. Talk to you soon.